Guys, it's Sarah, and today I wanted to talk a little bit about some of the books that I am reading for one of my classes that I'm taking this semester. So I am in graduate school for library and information sciences, so I am getting a master's degree right now in order to become a librarian, and I'm taking, different classes that have to do with that, and I'm taking a variety of classes, trying to kind of decide where I want my specialty to be. I haven't fully decided yet. I'm toying with the idea of working with children, whether it's in a school setting or, becoming a children's librarian in a public library. I'm not quite sure if that's the route I'm going to take, but I wanted to take a couple classes to kind of get my feet wet in that to see if it's something I would be interested in. And this semester, I'm taking a class called Materials for Children. And it's one where I'm reading books that are for children, that are geared towards children. I'm reading graphic novels that are geared towards children and kind of talking about the materials, what's available, what's good, what's not, book awards, things like that. So the big project for this class is a reading project. And what it is there's 3 different parts. So I have to turn them in 3 different sections. I've already turned in section 1, which is kind of like my plans. And then section 2 revolves around picture books and poetry anthologies, kind of like some of the smaller ones that are geared towards smaller children. And then part 3 is transitional books, which are books that are, like 2nd, 3rd grade, getting into the beginning chapter books type things through upper elementary, like kind of the more advanced elementary readers. So the fun thing about this is that I do have requirements on what I have to read. So I have to read 15 picture books, and I have to read 1 poetry anthology. I have to read 2 themed poetry books, and then a poetry book that is, all by one author. So quite a bit of poetry happening. And then I have to read 10 transitional books, and I have to read 15 upper elementary books. So I kind of wanted to show you what I'm planning to read for that, because middle grade March is going to be where it's at for me. I am definitely doing middle grade March. A lot of these, especially the older elementary, are going to be read during middle grade March. So I'm really excited about it. So I'm going to only show you really one of my poetry books because it's something that I own, and then the transitional books and the upper elementary. I'm going to show you all the books I plan to read for that. The picture books I'm not really going to show because they're picture books, and, I read them in 2 seconds, basically, and there's, it's fine. So I'm not going to show those, but the other ones I'm going to show you because these will most likely show up on my Goodreads as well. I'm going to count it towards my reading for the year because a lot of them, especially the upper elementary, are, 200-300 page books. So they're going to count for sure. I'm going to definitely make sure I include those. And a lot of them will be read in the month of March. Okay, so let me go ahead and show you what I have. All right, so the one poetry book that I will show you is one that I have on my shelves. It's been something that I have read before, but I wanted to give it a reread as an adult because I haven't done that. And so this is going to be my pick for my poetry by one single author. And that's Shel Silverstein, and I have Where the Sidewalk Ends, and these are poems and drawings by him. And my mom gave me this a couple years ago for Christmas. It's like this little anniversary special edition type thing. I don't know. It just says special edition, but it has 12 new poems in it apparently. And this came a little bit out before Runny Babbitt Returns, which was one of his newer ones that came out. And so I thought this would be a good one. It's all poems by one single author, and I own it, and it's something that I have wanted to reread. I also need to do 5 multimedia items, which can be something other than just sitting down and reading a book. So I could watch a TV show, I could watch a movie, I can listen to audiobooks, things like that. So I do have 2 books on my shelf that I plan to do as audiobooks. Everything else I'm going to try to do something else a little bit different. But for 2 of them, I thought I would go ahead and do audiobooks since I do that on a regular basis anyway. All right, so the first one I have here is Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. I have not read this book. Nope, I haven't. It's kind of a travesty, right? I haven't seen any movies. I know it follows a family with a bunch of sisters. I know one of them dies, but that's all I know. Like, really, truly, I don't know like what kind of things they go through and all that stuff. So, but this will be a good excuse for me to go ahead and read this. I do have it on audio already, so I do plan to listen to it, which I'm very excited about because this is kind of a chunky one. So this is one that's going to take me a little bit to get through. But that is going to be definitely one of the audiobooks I listen to. And this is also on the Great American Reads list. So it'll be 2 check marks. I also plan to listen to the audiobook of Echo by Pam Munoz Ryan. And this one, so many of you guys have loved. Every time I talk about this book, you're like, you have to read that. It's so good. The audiobook is so good. I've heard definitely listen to the audiobook because this does center around music somehow. And that's a big prevalent part of the audiobook as well. So it kind of makes it a little bit more atmospheric. So I definitely plan to do that. Again, this is a big book, but I definitely plan to listen to this one as well. Those are the only audiobook plans I have. I think the other 3 things that I need to fill in there, I'm going to try to do something a little bit different. But now let's talk about the transitional books. So these are books that are kind of a little bit younger elementary, but who are starting to read chapter books and kind of starting to get into a little bit more difficult reading. And I have to read 10 of those. I do not have 10 picked out yet, but I'll show you what I do have picked out already and what I plan to read. And then if you guys have any other suggestions, definitely let me know. The first one I have is one of my daughter's favorite books, and she's been wanting me to read this one, and that's The Lost Track of Time by Paige Britt. And this one is a good transitional book because it does have a lot of pictures in it along, it has like the text, and then it also has, some drawings in here and some artwork and stuff. And she absolutely loves this book. And so I thought it would be cool to include it in my project. That way I can read something that she has loved as well. And this one's pretty short, so I can get through it pretty quickly. And yeah, so that's definitely on my list. I also grabbed from her shelf Who Was Abraham Lincoln? And this one is by Janet B. Pascal. And these little books are so cute. It's a whole series of who was, either famous people or famous events or famous monuments or, just kind of things from our history. This is one that my daughter has on her shelf. Abraham Lincoln's her favorite president. She talks about him all the time. So anytime they have a unit on him, she loves it because she just loves him. And so I thought I would go ahead and read this one. Again, extremely, extremely short, and it's got some pictures, in it throughout, but it is a chapter book. So this could be definitely a good transitional one as well. The next one that I have is The Diary of a Wimpy Kid by Jeff Kinney. And my daughter never got into these at all. She does love Dork Diaries. That's I would say kind of like the girl version of Diary of a Wimpy Kid, I would say, because it centers around female characters and stuff. But I thought I'd go ahead and give this first one a read. And this is basically like a text with a whole bunch of pictures in it, like a whole bunch, as you can see. But it is longer. So this is definitely good, for like 2nd, 3rd grade, starting out with chapter books and kind of longer things. So, yep, got this one. And then I have a couple that I do not have in my possession currently. I do need to get them from the library. But the first one is Dog Man by Dave Pilkey. This is kind of a graphic novel for kids. And I have seen a lot of 2nd, 3rd grade, definitely boys reading Dog Man and just loving it. And I believe it's a dog who's like a police officer as well. So I'm going to give the first one in that little series a try. And then I have one called Bert Dow Deep Water Man by Robert McCloskey. I don't remember the premise of this one, but it did come up as kind of the age range I was looking for, and it is a little bit of a longer chapter book type thing. I have that on hold for my library. I'm waiting for it to come in. And then, the next one I have. So the next one is Nightmares, and this is by Jason Segel and Kirsten Miller. And this has illustrations in it as well. And let's see if I can find a couple. But it is a text, and it is, a little bit longer, as you can see. But the age range for this one is also good for kind of, a little bit of the younger crowd, kind of starting out, getting into reading some longer books. It could probably be good for more advanced younger readers, I guess you could say. So yeah, but we had this one on our shelves. I got this at a book fair, I believe, because I love Jason Segel. He's a really great actor that I love watching his stuff. And so I thought it'd be fun to check out one of his books. And then another one that I have is The Tale of Despero, and this is by Kate DiCamillo. This is a very beloved book. This one won the Newbery Medal as well. And I believe Despero is a mouse and kind of his adventures and things. This is longer than I thought it was going to be, but the writing is really big, as you can see. So I know I can get through this one quickly as well, and I've never read it. But this is supposed to be kind of almost a classic for kids. So yeah, this one's definitely on the list too. And then 2 more I have on my list that I don't have possession of. One is The One and Only Ivan by Catherine Applegate. And this is following, I believe, 2 animals, like an elephant and a gorilla, I want to say. I think those are the 2 right things. I believe Ivan is a gorilla. I hope that's correct. But I've heard very good things about this author, and she has quite a few books out that I'm interested in picking up as an adult, even though they're middle grade. So definitely going to be picking up that one. And then I want to pick up the first book in the Magic Tree House. I think that's a good transitional book as well, because, you know, it's enough that younger kids can read them, but it's still a chapter book. So those, you know, that's really the requirements here. So I have that one. And then I do have one more slot I need to fill. So if you guys have any good transitional books that you know about, leave them down below. Maybe I can check one of those out and add that to my list. All right, let's talk about upper elementary, because this is my favorite because I have so many, and I had to narrow down what I wanted to read for this project because there were just so many that I could definitely fit in here that I want to read. I do have a couple on here that I've already read just to make it a little bit easier on myself. I don't have to reread them, but I know enough about them and I have read them recently enough that I can, you know, talk about them in my project without having to read the book again. Because I do have to read 15 of these, and these are going to be longer books. So I just wanted to make a little bit easier on myself. But I'm so excited for this part. And I don't have all of these books in my possession. Some of them I am going to have to get from the library, but the ones that I do have, I'm so excited for it. All right, so the first one's going to be Wonder by R.J. Palacio. And this one follows a boy who has a deformity on his face, and that he's always been homeschooled, but he decides to go to public school, and how he's dealing with, you know, kind of that transition and how other people are reacting to him and everything, because he does look very different. Heard nothing but amazing things about this. It is a movie as well, so I'm excited to read this one off my shelves. Another one that's on my list is Among the Hidden by Margaret Peterson Haddix. I think that's her name. This is actually one that was recommended to my daughter from her fourth grade teacher. Her fourth grade teacher told her, you know, I think this is a book that you would like and a series that you would like. And I don't think Kaylin ever picked it up, but she had told me about it before. So I was like, okay, well, I'm going to pick it up and then I'll let you know what I think when I'm done, because it's a good one to put on this list as well. And I have heard about this series before, so hopefully it'll be good. And then there is one that I thought would be great to put on here, because not only would it fulfill this, it would also fulfill a Great American Reads. And it's actually one that my daughter's reading in class. Her language arts teacher is reading this out loud to the class, which I was like, what? What's happening? That's Hatchet by Gary Paulson. So my daughter's language arts teacher is reading this to them, which is really cool. And this is so teeny tiny. Like, you guys, I could read this in one sitting, easy, like no problem. And again, it's a Great American Reads book. I've heard amazing things about it, and I'm excited to read it. Another one that I have actually already ordered, it's not here yet though, I'm getting it from Book Outlet, but that is The War That Saved My Life by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. That is very hard to say. This is one that I decided to buy because Kaylin, actually, when we were talking about books that I'm going to read for this, Kaylin said, oh, I want to read that. And I was like, okay, well, if you want to read it and I'm going to read it, then I'm just going to buy it. And it was on Book Outlet, so I got it for pretty cheap. But I'm very excited for this one. This one is I think it's a World War II novel, and it follows a young girl who has a physical deformity. I think something with her foot. She has like a clubbed foot or something, and kind of things that are happening around her with that. So I'm excited to read that one for sure. And this one is an award winner as well. And you guys know I'm going to be excited about this one. Yep, this just happened to fit into the age range that we had to fulfill. And I was like, okay, this is absolutely happening because I want to read this so bad, and you guys know that. I'm definitely going to be buddy reading this with one of my subscribers coming up in middle grade March. This will probably be number 1 on the list for us to read in March, so I'm super excited about it. Nevermore, I can't wait. I cannot wait to read this. Another one that my daughter has read and she absolutely loved, and that is Arwa Shaw and the End of Time. And this is by Roshani Chokshi. And she absolutely loved this book. So I'm excited to read it as well, because when she got it at the book fair, I was like, you should totally get that because I want to read it too. She was like, okay. She flew through this book. I mean, and it's not a short book, you guys. Like, this is a decent sized book, and she flew through it. She absolutely loved it. And I think book number 2 is coming out soon. And she said, I want it. So we will probably be ordering the second one as well. But yeah, I'm really excited to read this one. The other one that my daughter has already read, and she considers this, okay, so this is how she explained it to me. She said, the book I'm reading right now, Mom, which is the first book in the School for Good and Evil series. She's like, the book I'm reading right now is my favorite book. She's not even halfway through it yet, and she is like obsessed with it. So that's my favorite book right now. But this one is probably number 2. Like, okay. So Foxheart by Claire Legrand. And I was super excited that she said that because I just read a book by Claire Legrand, Furyborn. Super loved that book so much. It was one of my favorites of last year. And the second book is coming out soon and I'm all over it. So I want to read what Claire Legrand has written, even in the middle grade realm, because she's written a couple of middle grade ones. My niece, who's in 8th grade, is actually reading one by her. It's a different one and she owns it. And I told her, I was like, well, when you're done, Grabby Hands over here wants to read it. She's like, I'll just give it to you. I'm like, okay. I'm going to take it. So definitely want to get into her work. And I'm excited to put this on my list to read too. And my daughter has requested that I read this one first out of everything else. So this will probably be number 1. The next one that's on my list, I'm going to put Harry Potter on here because obviously Harry Potter is my love. And I'm going to do The Sorcerer's Stone since it's the first book. And I have read it in, recent years. I've reread it. So I can definitely write up a little synopsis and, talk about why it's good for children and all that stuff. But I had to put Harry Potter on here. I just had to. Another one that I put on there is A Fablehaven by Brandon Mull. This is book number 1 in his Fablehaven series. There's even a teacher's guide in here. So this is something that is actually used in the classroom quite a bit. And I've heard really good things about Brandon Mull as a middle grade author. So I would really like to read a couple things by him. We do own this one. And then we own another one by him too. That's a little geared more towards the younger kids. But yeah, I was excited because the part of our assignment is also that half of our books have to be mentioned in our textbook that we have, which is a guide for children's literature stuff. And this one was in there. So when I saw that, I kind of went, ooh, I have that on my shelf. So that's going on the list. Another one that was mentioned in the textbook that I was like, I have that, which is this one, The Mysterious Benedict Society by Trenton Lee Stewart. And I got this randomly for 25 cents at a thrift store. And I just thought it was adorable. Like the cover of it is so cute and it has really, really good reviews. So yeah, it was mentioned in my textbook though. So I was like, I have that. It's going on the list. And then another one is a book that I've already read, and that's The Graveyard Book by Neil Gaiman. And I was excited to see this mentioned in my textbook because I have it. I've already read it. I can speak to it. And I loved that book. I thought it was fantastic. It was a 5-star read for me for sure. And definitely something that upper elementary kids would enjoy. And the last one that I own that I can tell you about, but I will talk about 2 more, I think. I just don't own them. But the first one here is The Crowns of Croswald by D.E. Knight. This is a book that was actually sent to me for review and last year, and I haven't read it yet. So this is a good excuse to go ahead and get this one read for sure. This is not mentioned in my textbook, but it's just one that I added on here because I have it. It's something that is good for the age range that I'm looking for. And it's kind of like a fairy book. And then there's 3 more on my list that I don't own right now. So I will just talk about those. But the first one is going to be Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. This is the first book in the Percy Jackson series. This is a series I've been wanting to read. I have never read them. I have to definitely go into them in a middle grade frame of mind. But of course, I've heard nothing but good things about them. And it's a good excuse for me to go ahead and read the first one. And this one was mentioned in our textbook as well. The next one is Ghost by Jason Reynolds. This is definitely geared towards kind of older elementary students. And this is another one that is on the Great American Reads list. So I thought, another 2 birds, 1 stone type thing. But Jason Reynolds is definitely an author I want to read more from. I read The Long Way Down, which was amazing. And I definitely want to read more from him. So this is a good push for me to do that. And then the last one is It Ain't So Awful Falafel by Firuza Dumas, I think is how you say her name. I added this one on there just from doing a search and just trying to see what I could add on there that had a little bit more diversity, because we want to make sure that, the list does need to be a little bit diverse too. I can't just read all the same types of books from the same types of authors. So this one really fit into having a little bit more of a diverse read. Okay, guys, that's it. I am really super excited to get a lot of these books read. And when this project came up, I went, oh my gosh, middle grade March is where it's at. So I think a lot of these are going to be knocked out during that month, which I'm really excited about. And I do have to go ahead and get started now though, because, some of these are much longer. I'm currently halfway through with my picture books. I got to go grab a few more from the library to do that. And then I'm going to really start working on these middle grade books. And I'm just super excited for them. So let me know down below if you guys, number 1, have any more suggestions for transitional books. So they're going to be books that are kind of geared towards 2nd, 3rd grade, beginning, starting to get into chapter books, things like that. If there's any that you guys know of off the top of your head that you can let me know down below, that would be great. I just need like 1 or 2 more suggestions for that. And let me know if anybody wants to buddy read any of these, let me know. I do have a buddy for Nevermore already, but everything else, like if you want to buddy read any of these, if you have them sitting on your shelves and you haven't read them yet and you need that push, we can push each other because I definitely have to get all these read. My project is due at the end of April, so I will be reading them pretty much from now until probably mid-April is when I want to be done so that I can kind of gather everything and make sure everything's done. So if you guys want to buddy read anything, let me know for sure, but I'm really excited about all of these and I thought I would share them with you, because they're definitely be coming up on my reading here in the next couple of months. So, all right, that's it for me. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Bye.